Hello, this is Dr. Jeff Kim, and I want to give my warmest greetings to you all of you who are at the Leadership Identity Seminar. I think leadership does grow from your own identity, knowing your own story, telling your story, listening to the stories of others, and doing something good with your story. So if you leave with anything today, I hope you will just remember those four words: know, tell, listen, and do, and apply that. First of all, big thanks to President Sarah Park of the Hwarang Youth Foundation. I've been very impressed with this youth organization and all the work that you're doing to learn, grow your community service, being a light in the community. I really, really think that's so awesome to see youth doing. And so I'm so proud of you all coming out on a Saturday and saying yes to wanting to grow more. So President Sarah Park asked if I could share a few words on the launch of something special, because we did do something special here. The first Korean American ethnic studies course, a high school level course in the United States of America. So I want to tell the story of how that course came to be. Now, before I begin, I just want to remind you, as you think about your own identity, if you want to grow tall and strong, it's very important to know your roots. And many of you are getting to know your roots. You're knowing that you're coming from a civilization that, like if you were the Hwarang Foundation, then you are familiar with the Shilla dynasty, the Joseon dynasty, the Goryeo dynasties. You are familiar with the traditions of Korea because that story is also a great story of achievement, scholarship, leadership, resilience as well. Um, your families, if you go back to your grandparents, your great grandparents, they may have been a part of the time when Korea was colonized, and they overcame that. They remembered their identity, they remembered who they were, they survived. And then soon thereafter that was the Korean War between 1950 to 1953, where 10% of Korea's population passed, and the nation was divided in two in a great civil war, and the nations continue. The nation continues to be divided today, and your parents are survivors of that. Your parents are survivors of the miracle on the Han, of the migration to the United States now, and now this story of resilience passes on to you. So, do you know your story? You are coming from something amazing. I just want to tell you that. But it's not just Korean Americans that are amazing. There are other groups that are so amazing as well. Just not too long ago, I had a chance to be a part of a Cambodian American Studies conference, and there, wow, that's another story of resilience, of overcoming such great adversity. If you're Hispanic Latino, or if you are familiar with the Hispanic Latino story, that is another story of resilience. The African American story is a great story of resilience. The Native American story is a great story of resilience. So it's important to know these stories. And you can see that in this picture, the sequoia tree is growing tall and strong. And why? Typically, sequoias grow in groves, but they're growing tall and strong because these roots are intersecting, connecting with each other, helping each other to grow strong. So you're knowing your own identity, and you're also knowing the stories of one another. And wherever you're at today, you're taking one step in the right direction to grow tall and strong. So once again, that know, tell, listen, do. And I'm hoping that you're kind of thinking about that, right? Why is it important to know your own story? Why is it important to tell your story? Why is it important for others to listen to the stories of others with empathy and respect? And I know the Hwarang group does a lot to know, what do you do with your story, right? You do a lot of good work in the community. So maybe you'll even think about these questions a little bit later after my sharing the know, tell, listen, and do. A little bit about myself. My name is Dr. Jeff Kim, National Board Certified Teacher. I've been married for about 23 years now. I have 5 daughters, ranging from 4th grade to a daughter in college, and I love them. And we have their 3rd generation Korean American children. For fun, I enjoy hiking, biking, and volunteering in Saddleback Church. Some of my various roles in the community have included being in education for the past 23 years. I did mention about authoring that first Korean American ethnic studies course. I also serve as an instructional coach. So for those of you thinking about education, it's not always just teaching in the classroom, although it does include that, but it could be supporting other teachers. And I've done that as an instructional coach, as an induction support provider. I also teach a couple classes at the university, Cal State University Fullerton and Vanguard University, where I'm training future educational leaders. So perhaps I'll meet some of you there and I'll have a chance to support you on your educational journey if that was the goal that you had. And then I'm also an elected official on the school board. So for the Irvine Unified School District, I'm a school board member. So these are all different spaces where I hope I can be a light and an influence using my Korean American story and the blessings of it to also impact others in a positive way, because the Korean American story is a great American story that's beneficial for Korean Americans and also all Americans. I also have a YouTube channel called Ed Family. So if you want to follow some of these stories, these different spaces where I'm at, the goal of this channel is to help students find out what they're good at so that they can do good with it. So I try to post a video about once every week. All right. So, where did this begin? I desire to know my own story. I think when I was young, I didn't really think about this as much. I grew up in a space where there weren't a lot of students that looked like me. I never had a teacher that looked like me. I can't say I really knew my own story or my history or my parents' story. So when the question came up, like, who am I, like many middle and high school students think about, I think, struggled with this. Like, I don't really know who I am. So this is something I do want to help students with, as I'm as a teacher wanting to know students by their name, need, assets, and their stories. How can I help students get to know their own story a little bit more? And that's one of the reasons why I always was very interested in Asian American studies and Korean American studies as well. But it was not until 2020 when we saw two pandemics that I really moved to really think about doing something about it. So in 2020, here in Orange County, we saw a 1,800% increase in hate incidents toward Asian Americans. And that was I just couldn't believe that was happening, but maybe because I and perhaps you and perhaps some of your parents have experienced some amount of racism, I just tolerated it. But when I saw the elderly being pushed down, like very old people being pushed down, some even getting badly beaten, hurt, some even dying. And when the 6 women in Atlanta were murdered, I said I could not stand by and watch this continue to happen. But I didn't want to respond in fear and anger. A lot of people, this is happening, they're feeling fearful and angry. And I think it's okay to, say, yeah, I'm feeling some fear and anger from these kinds of things that are happening. But I didn't want to react that way. I want to respond. But I want to respond not out of fear and anger. I want to respond out of love and wisdom. So I thought, what could be a loving and wise way to respond to this surge in anti-Asian racism? And that's where the thought came to create this Korean American Studies course where others would have a chance to know, tell, listen, and do their own story, whether it's for themselves or for others. And the course is broken up into these 5 different parts where it begins with knowing their own story and then looking at the timeline of Korean American history. So if you're kind of curious, like, what is Korean American history? Then you might want to take a look at Korean Americans, a concise history children's book. It's just 100 pages, but I think nicely explains Korean American history and the different waves of migration. Then we look a little bit more closely at the Korean American stories of resilience, different folks, lessons that have been adapted from the Model Ethnic Studies curriculum that we go in a little deeper with. Some that you may be familiar with, Tosan An Chang Ho or Dr. Sammy Lee, Colonel Young Kim, and there's even some schools named after them out in LA. And then students curating some of this information. They're not just learning and taking some multiple choice test, but they're actually the content creators themselves. And then finally doing something good with their story, much like our Hwarang friends doing so much good in the community. They know their story, and then they're doing something good with their story. So I thought I'd share this 2-minute video clip that kind of gives a little background on our story.
This fall, the Anaheim Union High School District is offering Korean American Studies.
The Anaheim Union High School District is offering Korean American Studies virtually. The course is believed to be the first ever in the U.S.
It's a first of a kind.
한인 인종 연구 과목이 오는 가을부터 진행될 예정이라고 밝혔습니다.
NBC4's Ted Chen has those details. Maybe you've listened to K-pop, but have you ever heard of Young Ok Kim?
You have to know your roots.
They're saying you have to know your roots.
It's not me just learning about Korean history, it's me learning about who I am as a Korean American.
So today I'm going to be talking about my story.
I chose Korean American Studies because as a Korean American student myself, I was never really given the opportunity to learn about my own culture and background.
Growing up as a Korean American, there had always been this sort of gap between my Korean culture and identity and the American culture that I'd grown up with.
Oftentimes, families are not talking about their story, and they are certainly not seeing their story as a story of resilience. They're so busy just surviving, just making a living.
But the assignment got families talking. Xiong Lee is a freshman in the class.
I found like having conversations with my mom and things I didn't know about her before.
옛날 생각나고.
I'm reminded of the old days, Heejin says, and the passion for what I did. Xiong says she's not sure when she would have learned all this about her mom. But if her class has taught her anything, it's that some of the most important history is right in front of you.
Kim says the course will cover the immigration of Korean Americans, their settlement in the U.S., and their journey through historic events like the LA riots. He says he hopes the course will benefit students from all backgrounds.
Well, we did it, and we launched that course, and now we're actually in our second year of that first Korean American Ethnic Studies course ever. So I thought I'd just share that journey of us establishing this course, that you can have an idea. There can be even difficult things that happen, but those difficult things can give you strength and resilience to move forward in a positive way, like you're already doing in Hwarang. So keep up the good work. For those of you who want to begin to know deeper your own cultural identity, you can begin by just knowing your own story. So talking to your families, talking to your parents. Sometimes it's a little difficult for even families to share some of their stories because some of it has elements of pain that's there. But when you show your interest, like, oh, I really want to know more, you have the questions, you're coming in humbly, they're going to want to share, and you're going to be so blessed to hear their sharing as well. Once again, also the Korean Americans: A Concise History book. And continue the journey one step at a time. And as you do that, do something good with your story, like you're doing with Hwarang, the community service, growing in your leadership. This is Dr. Jeff Kim wishing you the best. Have a great conference.